Welcome back. Today we are going to be flying out the Japanese F-16AJ, and just like the MLU, this is a better variant of the F-16. The F-16 in the previous patch got a little bit of a buff. It doesn't compress nearly as much at higher speeds. It's still a bit of a brick and you still need to manage your speed, but the plane altogether is just a lot more manageable. And the F-16A does not share the flight model with the ADF. The ADF actually has 33% bigger elevators, so it does compress a little bit at high speed, but because of the decrease of weight, it's a lot more maneuverable. The thing is, the F-16 already compressed quite badly, and it makes it better at what it already was good at, because the little bit of a decrease in weight. So all in all, this F-16 is pretty damn powerful, as they all are. They are some of the better planes that you can find in the game, because, well, it's of course the contemporary of the MiG-29. If you get slow in this thing in a fight with basically anyone, you will see throughout this video that you will be able to slap essentially everyone around. The F-16 is limited in its sense that it can't really fight at higher speeds, but the second you go below that magic number, that's about 900, you will start to take a dump on essentially everyone. Here we are going to be flying out with a damaged F-16, and we are 1v1 versus a MiG-29. We are a little bit lighter due to the fuel, but we also have a crit wing route, and we will still fight this guy in the exact same manner. You can tell that I'm cutting throttle. I'm trying to not stay too quick, and the MiG-29 is pretty damn agile, and it also got buffed in the previous patch. And if you haven't seen how it performs nowadays, feel free to check out my German MiG-29 video. And you can tell we are gaining quite substantially, and even though we were nose to tail, we are now nose to nose, because I just turned into him that hard. He did take a little bit of an inopportune line. He went vertical, he lost a lot of speed, and we can just keep on powering through. The MiG-29 at high speed is very dangerous in this, whereas the second it starts going prolonged and it starts into this very slow fight, I mean, there's very little he is going to be doing. Let's take a look at the first game I did in the F-16AJ. A little bit of a mishap, because I'm running a min tank with a fuel tank. So we have about, I think it's like what, 12 minutes of fuel in total, a bit more, like 13. And you can tell that I'm having some pretty bad packet loss right now. I'm just freezing in place, I'm just teleporting around, and this is absolutely atrocious when it comes to top tier, even more so opposed to when you're flying something like props. In props, if this settles, it can be manageable, because they need to get pretty close to you to actually kill you, whereas packet loss in top tier mostly means you are going to be missiled across the map before you can react. So we are still not afterburning, because I am running min fuel, and this was a bit of a mishap, but we have to do with the cards we are dealt. If I go back to land and repair and rearm and refuel, guess what happens? I will be going into the fight by the time the game is already over, and I will not be able to contribute anything. So instead, I'm just gonna be flying around without my afterburner on, trying to conserve my fuel as much as possible. We missile one guy out of the air, and we just want to stay vigilant, because we are in the thick of it. Basically, we are forced to play it a little bit more aggressive, because if we take the long approach, well, we're not gonna get anything done. We are just gonna be running out of fuel. I get into this little bit of a fight, and the second this guy gets close to us, I'm gonna be turning on the afterburner, because I want to stay close to him. But he then just he just ramps the corpse of the guy that he just killed. And my team is looking pretty bad, and it kind of annoys me that this is the game I ran min fuel in, because most of the time these kind of games just kind of don't happen. I like these carry matches. I like these matches where I actually have to do something to win the game. I like having bad teams, but I also like it when the team that I'm fighting isn't so good that it's essentially unwinnable. This was one of those perfect scenarios, but we are gonna be managing our fuel for the majority of this game. So we now have two guys on the 6. We have a MiG-23 as well as an F-4E, and they're kind of spaced out, so I can't really fight F-4S, sorry. I can't really fight the MiG-23, because then the two F-4Ss are gonna kind of jump me, so I want one of them to break off. I can take all three at once, but I don't want to risk one of them just running away from us. But I notice that they're not really breaking off until I go over this crest, and then one starts kind of turning out. And now I will take this fight, because I know that if this MiG-23 pulls back in, I will just slam him out of the air with a Sparrow. Instead, I'm going to go for the F-4S this time, because he's going to be shooting at us. I want to go to the deck. Missile is going to track in quite nicely, because he doesn't go low enough. And now the MiG-23 is on R6. It's an ML. He doesn't have the slats. He doesn't turn as well as the MLD. But now we have to go a little bit defensive. We go 2v1. And we try to set these two guys up so they are kind of turning next to each other. So with one turn I can fight both of them at once. The issue is, third guy comes in, he starts shooting missiles at us. A10 pops up as well. And there's just too many guys around. And I'm kind of forced to afterburn, but I can't really do it because I only have 6.5 minutes left. So what do I do here? Well, I'm trying to get the A10 out of here. The FRS breaks off and now it's only an F4E together with a MiG-23ML. Which is a fight that I'm not too opposed to taking. It's pretty winnable as long as they actually both stick the fight. So I'm gonna be throttling down here. I don't want to air brake because I want to conserve my fuel. But then I'm kind of forced to drop the afterburner or turn the afterburner on for a little bit. Because I'm going to need the speed to dodge the second guy. Once I get clear of the F4E, I'm gonna go into a little bit of a spiral. At least that was my plan. But by the way the F4E is flying, I'm gonna be setting myself up for disaster. So again, we set them both up. We now have them both next to each other. I'm going to be trying to pull in and trying to go very low to the ground to make it a little bit harder for them to actually fight me. And once the F4E overshoots, I'm going to go vertical to try and get behind both of them. The thing is, the F4E I can fight very handily, but then the MiG-23 tries to loop outwards. But he broke his wing off and I want to go for the F4E. The issue is here that the MiG-23 looked like he was going to pull in and missile me by the time I turn into the F4E. I'm going to be giving the 6 to the MiG-23, and even though he only has one wing, all he needs to do is lock me up with a missile. And since there's only two guys right next to each other right now, I don't really feel in a hurry. That's an absolute decent shot if I ever seen one. Luckily it doesn't actually kill us, that would have been beyond bullshit. But the MiG-23 is now above us, and the F4E is going in loops. So I'm gonna shoot a missile at the MiG-23, and then because I have so much more performance left, I can just switch on over to the F4E right after. He dies and we are gonna be turning for the F4E. Now all we need to do is kill the F4E, RTB, and then win the 3v1. The issue is, well, it's not just these two guys. I have 1 minute of fuel left. I'm RTB, but you already see on the map right there, it's not over yet. I have a minute and 10 seconds of fuel, and there is multiple guys coming in. For now it's only the Yak 141, so I want to just go towards my airfield to kind of promote the idea that they can't catch me. The issue is there's also an F-16 coming in, there's also an FRS coming in. So now it's 3v1, they're all on my 6 and I have 50 seconds of fuel. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to be going out without a fight, because if I'm going to die, I might as well take 2 or 3 of them with me. And maybe even potentially win the game. So they're all starting to close in, they're all kind of next to each other. So I'm just going to go defensive against the guns for a little bit. And I'm going to try to stay low so that the missiles won't really track us. I'm trying to make the FRS pancake, but he goes up instead of down. So he's going to have a pretty easy time. And we turn into the Yak 141 and unfortunately only get a crit. So what do? We pull back up and we go after the FRS, and I turn the afterburner on for a few seconds, trying to get some distance on him, shoot a missile off, and the F-16 now goes for us as we're going very slow. I'm just trying to get myself killed basically, but I'm also trying to kill as many as I can. So I throttle down here because I need to reverse him anyway. I'm just trying to save some fuel and turn behind him. He's gonna pancake if he pulls that way, so I'm gonna pull in front of him. If he doesn't, he's gonna have me right on his 6. And now we're very low to the ground, and the Yak 141, well, decides he wants to dive on us. And there is kill number 7. The issue is we are now out of fuel, and the A10 from earlier is the last enemy left. This would have been a very easy 8 kill. Now all there is to do is glide back to the runway and just make sure. Same story here, but this time we actually have some fuel, so we are able to play it to our strengths and play the game properly. Min fuel in top tier jets is essentially a death sentence most of the time if you don't manage it right. Sure, it does give you a performance advantage, but if they don't take the fights with you, then you're gonna end up dry very quickly and you just become an absolute sitting duck. I like to come in from the side, from low, preferably out of the sun, but that's not possible right now. I just try to not be the spearhead of the team in this thing. I'm just trying to pick my targets. I'm not really worried about which one I kill. I'm just gonna kill the ones that I actually can. Switch on over to an A9 Sidewinder. We shoot the missile off. He is not paying attention in the slightest, but his missile ends up being a flare. Luckily we still have a gun and we just slam him out of the air. Premium players are simply built different. And after that kill we are gonna be transitioning to a different set of pronouns, and thus we move to a different part of the map. I see that my team is plentiful on this side. That's like 3 guys and there's 4 friendlies. And there's also multiple guys coming in. I will not be wasting my time shooting guys that are essentially already dead. I'd rather be useful somewhere else on the map. So firstly, we are going to shoot down this poor guy right here that's chasing a guy in a dogfight. He's shooting missiles off and everything, but we sparrow him out of the air in this MiG-29. And again, we just fly over towards the other side of the map. And it turns out, if I had actually gone for the one guy that was being chased by like 6 people, I would have been here quicker and I probably ended up with more kills. But hindsight is a hell of a drug and we don't have that luxury in real life combat. So I'm here now and we will do what we can with the cards we are dealt. F-16 is kind of coming head on with us, so I'm gonna lock him up preemptively, and the longer it takes him to get his nose on us, the bigger the chance that he won't be able to counter shoot us with his own Sparrow. So his Sparrow doesn't even leave the rails, he might have not even had any left. And we now transition over to the MiG-23M. Unfortunately, MiG-21 coming in from the left and there's a tornado in the background and I do want to keep my eyes on him. I know that he's not going to be a main issue. He shoots an R60 at us in the head-on, but I do want to keep in mind that that tornado might come back later as we are maybe in a very slow fight. And even then, it's just a tornado, but he still might have a lot of A9Ls. MiG-21 is in front of us, but he's losing a lot of speed. And because of this, he's essentially not a threat anymore and he's almost forced to fly away and get some speed. So I will lock on to this MiG-23 here and see if I can kill him to save my teammate. Saving my teammate doesn't seem like an option anymore because he just went down. The tornado goes down in the background and now I will just fixate on the MiG-27 for a little bit of time. The MiG-21 will take a bit to get here, and even if he does get here, we are in the advantage. Try to line up a shot, he starts dodging every time I squeeze the trigger. Last time he does something a little bit more predictable and I squeeze it and down he goes. MiG-21 then goes straight vertical, so we just kind of pitch up for him and shoot an A9L his way. And then kill him with a missile shot that probably would have been hit by something like an AIM-9B. But you know, a kill is a kill. So, not a game, not a chance. And again, we come in from the side and a little bit of behind. And there's just this massive furball in the middle. And this is exactly what we mean with bigger maps don't really change anything. They just make you fly towards the middle for longer. So we shoot an A9L at the first F-16, hoping that he's not really paying attention. He drops a single flare because it's a side aspect. And the missile goes AWOL and just flies off to Narnia. F-16 coming in, we lock him up with a Sparrow, he's nowhere near low enough, he doesn't even try the notch, and he just eats it directly in the cockpit. Who do we go for now? It all depends on the next few guys. I kind of want to go for the F4S, but I don't want to make myself too vulnerable to the guy below me. Luckily for us, this guy is absolutely not paying attention, and I just missile him out of the air. We now have 2 guys on R6, a Tornado and an F4S, neither of which will necessarily scare me. I just want to make sure that I go for the right targets and that I don't get jumped by another guy as we are busy with 2 of them at once. FRS kind of breaks out, it pulls back in. Tornado pulls in, but he's just, well, he has the turning circle of the entire USA, so I'm not really too worried about it. We go vertical, set up the FRS and then transition back over to the Tornado and see if he can get a cheeky missile kill in. The FRS is still on R6, I don't need to stay on him as there's a teammate around, and I'm gonna shoot an AIM-9L at the Tornado in the hope that he doesn't flare it. Or maybe fails to flare it successfully by not flaring properly. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen. Tornado now flies away and we are stuck in this 2v2 with 2 F4S's with me and a Mirage. So what do we do now? The Mirage is flying away and I just want to make sure that I can keep turning. And it looks like the first F4S on the right there keeps pulling lead for us and he's bleeding a lot of speed. So now they're gonna end up basically directly next to each other and I'm just gonna go straight vertical. Another teammate comes in and I'm gonna ignore the F4S that's on my 6 right now and just go for the guy that's kind of slow in front of us, shoot a missile off. If it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit, but if it does hit, well, I get another kill. So thank you very much for that. AIM-9L slams the F4S out of the air and then the other F4S is simply too slow to really do anything. We beam him down and that's the 2v2-1 without any losses on our end. And here we have it, the last guy of the enemy team, and it's a Tornado F3. And when the Tornado F3 is in the lobby, it's really not that much of a threat. And everyone that says that the Tornado is a great plane, that you can get kills with it, I highly advise you to first check out my tornado video, and secondly, sure, you can get kills with it, but almost every plane can do the kills that the tornado gets as long as it has similar missiles. One thing I want to actually make clear here is that the F-16 with missiles is as fast as the tornado without them. So let this sink in. The tornado will not be outrunning an F-16. It will not outturn the F-16. It will not out-radar the F-16. It will not out-accelerate the F-16. It will not outdo the F-16 in anything than amount of radar missiles and amount of flares. But this doesn't really amount to anything, and you can tell that I'm just kind of diving after him. I'm just going full afterburner. I don't have too much fuel left on full afterburner, and I'm just catching him. He realizes this and he tries to go a little bit of defensive, and now he really sealed his fate. But even though the tornado is slower and accelerates worse and turns worse, apparently if you're good then you just win. But I'll show you exactly that it doesn't matter what he does as long as I don't mess it up. So he starts going defensive in front of us, but he's too big, he's too sluggish, and he just cannot get out of my guns. And even if I do overshoot, he won't get guns on me. The F3 stays mid, and that's not an opinion, that's just because it's mid. It doesn't succeed in anything except dying. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.